guys, look at the comment this little troll left me. Let's analyze just how smart he really thinks he is. Okay, so in a recent video I made, I went over another person's video. The video is called Marvel Rivals Matchmaking the Truth. You can see it has 70,000 views, so it's a pretty popular video, and a lot of people are seeing it. And, you know, of course, a lot of people are agreeing with it in the comments. Now, this person has no evidence to back up the claims he makes in the video, and I'm going to show this to you step by step. In the previous video I made, you know, I went through it pretty quickly. I just kind of assumed people would understand what I was talking about, but they didn't. And I've been getting a lot of very low brain cell people in the comments swearing up and down that this is true and that what I'm saying is incorrect, but we're gonna go over it at kindergarten level so you understand it, okay? Okay, so first he goes over his accolades and how he's such a good player, but let me reiterate to you guys that it doesn't matter how good of a player you are, it doesn't matter what rank you've attained in the game, you still can have delusional thinking, and it doesn't mean that what you're saying is correct here, okay? And if that's what really is important to you, well, I'm a Grandmasters in Marvel Rivals, so maybe I should have some credit. But again, it doesn't really matter.
I am somebody who has played Overwatch for around 7 or 8 years in Grandmasters and in Top 500. A little bit about myself. I've been gaming competitively since I was 10. I'm now 33, so that's 2/3 of my life.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. A good analogy for this is that there's plenty of people who are famous celebrities in Hollywood or famous even scientists or politicians who are very successful in their career, or very talented athletes who believe that the world is flat, okay? It doesn't matter what rank you are. It doesn't make you any more right, especially after the things I'm gonna show you in this video, okay? Let's move on. All right, so now we're gonna get into kind of the more fun part. And this is one of my favorite things. You'll see him do this in the video where he will highlight a word and he'll repeat it really ominously over and over again. You see he's gonna repeat the word tricks here over and over again. He's gonna repeat, you know, the player's turn pattern and these other terms. He says it in a way like these are a bad thing, like the system is using it against you in a bad way, when in reality, this article that he's reading, he's basically debunking himself, okay? The whole point of what this is, it's talking about player satisfaction and matchmaking. It's talking about the importance of player satisfaction and matchmaking. So when he goes out on this crazy limb and tries to say the reason that he is in loser's queue, okay, is completely asinine, because there is no player satisfaction if a system is putting you in loser's queue and you're being forced to lose 10 games in a row, okay? There is no player satisfaction there, and then Netease loses money. It's actually hilarious how completely backwards this thinking is, but let's hear him talk about it.
In the algorithms, I'm gonna say it again. The algorithms.
Yes, there are algorithms that the matchmaking system uses to make fair and to make matchmaking. It's a very complicated AI-based system that uses algorithms. Yes, algorithms inherently are not bad, okay? I thought we all knew this.
The application of machine learning. The application of machine learning. Churn patterns.
Yep, it is a machine learning things and using algorithms. Okay, let's keep going.
I'm gonna say it again. Churn patterns. There's a reason why I'm doing it.
Okay, so real quick, if you don't know what churn patterns are, a churn pattern is the rate at which a player will exit the application, the game, after a given amount of time in consideration to the amount of wins or losses that person has accumulated. So every player has their own churn pattern. Say I have a churn pattern of if I lose 5 games in a row, or maybe even if I win 2 games and lose 3 games in a row, maybe I will quit the application. And the game recognizes this and compiles that data because they want to know when people are leaving so they can make money. You know, if someone quits the game forever, then they're not going to make money from that player, obviously. But there's also, you know, every player has different churn patterns. Now, Of course they're going to recognize this, and of course they're going to try to optimize around this. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. For player satisfaction, if they're going to try to avoid, having low player satisfaction. So if they recognize that certain churn patterns exist here, they're going to try to optimize that for you as a player. It's good for you because they want you to be happy. They want you to keep playing, okay? It doesn't make sense for you to not be happy in the game. Let's keep going.
The factors that influence the player's churn after this matchmaking proposal and the tricks. I'm going to say it again.
Okay, this is one of the most funny ones. The tricks. Do you hear him? The tricks. I'm going to say it again. This is just a person typing in English. Look, can you reread this? They're just saying, no, we're talking players' churn patterns after this matchmaking proposal and the tricks to optimize the matchmaking process, the matchmaking planning algorithms. So they're talking about what are the tricks to optimize the matchmaking process? Because that's what this article is about. Okay, that's what it's about. It's not tricks like magic tricks, you guys. It's not like tricks like malicious tricks. This is just it's actually really funny. It's actually really funny.
I'm going to say this one more time. Extra emphasis. The tricks.
Brain cells, guys. Brain cells. That's not the use of the word tricks. I can do this too. I can read I can do this too. You want to play this game? Let's read some words together. Low IQ. I'm going to read this one more time, guys. Low IQ. Let's try another word. Tin foil hat. You guys, tin foil hat. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. Zero account for scientific knowledge. Did I spell it right? Almost. Yeah. Zero account for scientific knowledge. Zero account for scientific knowledge. The difference is that these things are actually applying to this kind of thought in this video. Whereas what this person is doing is just simply, I don't know if he's trying to warp your mind or he's just made this video to get clicks. Or if he actually thinks this. By the way, so, I mean, if anecdotes really do matter, then I will tell you from my personal experience as a Grandmaster player, I've spent, 46 hours in the game. I've had a lot of experience with other games such as League of Legends, other competitive, StarCraft, everything, you name it. The game feels a lot just like other games do as far as the matchmaking system. It feels very fair to me. I haven't noticed anything crazy. Yeah, sure, there are going to be games when I have a really shitty team and it's frustrating, but and the system can't always perfectly make a perfectly matched game, of course. But for what it's worth, I think that it's been a very good game.
Moving on. This right here is a Netease churn rate. This is the game, which all types of wins and losses in different sequences make people respond to that.
Okay, so then he has all these graphs that he found online, right? Like, by the way, this is public knowledge. If they really were trying to do something crazy here, you'd think that they would hide this. But no, he's just saying that here's a graph of the data that Netease has gathered regarding churn rate, okay? Yeah, what? Like, this has nothing to do with what he's saying. They have the data on churn rate. Like, what? This has nothing to do with anything, okay? It really doesn't. It has nothing to do with it in a bad way. Okay, so here is one of my favorite parts of the video too, because it is just so ridiculous. The diagram he himself is pointing out and trying to say is a bad thing is itself proving him wrong, okay? So here you have a diagram of how the matchmaking system is kind of functioning. It just kind of shows people, hey, this is how this works. For those of you who don't know, we're going to give some light into how it works. It's a very complicated system. It's hard to see the inner workings from your home behind the screen, right? But here it is. Here's how it works, and here are the things we take into consideration. Now, he says that this is from Netease. I don't even actually know if that's true, but it doesn't matter. Let's go into this here.
multi-aspect considerations of balance. So this includes network latency, psychological effects, example, consecutive defeats, or losers brackets.
Okay, so this is exactly proving his point wrong. This is them showing you a diagram of how they're making the game balanced, how they're removing all the factors that you don't want in your lobbies, okay? These are listing all the things that you don't want, and they're telling you this is what we're getting rid of, and he's reading over it as if these are bad things. He's like literally just seeing black for white here. So as far as multi-aspect considerations of balance, it's telling you it has a multi-aspect consideration of balance. It's not just linear. It's not just one factor. It takes into a very complicated palette of considerations, such as network latency. You don't want to have one team full of people who have 200 ping and another team to have a team full of like people with like 30 ping, right? That wouldn't be fair. You don't want that in your game. That's why it's letting you know we account for this. You know, we can see everyone's pings and we make sure that's balanced and we have equal latency on each team. That is so huge, okay? You want this. And then this is actually really cool. It says psychological effects right after the network latency, such as consecutive defeats. It recognizes, it estimates what each player's psychological state is based on their player behavior in game. Are they, it can tell if you're just running it down, feeding in game and being toxic, it can recognize that behavior. And it's going to take that into consideration when putting you in other matches, okay? And it's going to take into consideration of consecutive defeats. Is a player on a 10-game loss streak? That person is probably not in the best psychological state of mind. We better not put we better not put too many of those people in really poor psychological states on one team, and then on the other team have a team that is popping off in a really good psychological state, because that would be unfair, right? If you are really in a loser's queue, it's because you have been either very toxic, you've been getting reported a lot with evidence, you are on a huge loss streak, you are griefing the team, running it down, just feeding, yelling in comms, saying profanities. The game can tell. And if you make too many wrongs, it'll basically put you in jail or a loser's queue with a bunch of other people who are in the same way. If you notice that all of a sudden you're in lobbies with a bunch of other people who are super toxic and just don't care about the game and are just running it down middle and are like, that will throw the game if the slightest thing happens, right? You might be being put in a lobby full of other people just like you who are toxic and not really actually trying in the game.
Interpersonal interplay, example, social relationship and team-up effects. They talk about multidimensional capability assessment, which is real-time capture of players' capability from various perspectives. So this is real-time learning and adjustments.
Yes, it is real-time learning and adjustments. The system is very proficient and smart, and this is good. You want it to have a good idea. You want it to be as smart as possible so it can make the most balanced teams that it can, right? This is good.
AI machine learning. Malicious behavior control. This one's an interesting one because, the first thing you see is the detection and punishment against cheating, which you would expect, and that's a good thing, right? But then you see piggybacking, which I would assume is probably a form of what's called boosting, power leveling, and smurfing, etc. So you actually are considered malicious if you are smurfing.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why he's saying it like this. Yes, you are. The system considers you malicious if you're smurfing, and if you're cheating, if you're getting boosted by somebody else. I mean, it doesn't mean you're a bad person necessarily, but it's not good for the quality of matchmaking. And if you really want fair games, then you shouldn't be smurfing. You shouldn't be boosting people's accounts. You shouldn't be buying accounts. You shouldn't be cheating, like obviously, right? And one other thing really quickly, talking about smurfing, right? If you are in low elos and you're experiencing these games where something just seems wrong like some players on the enemy team are just way too good compared to your team, there's a very, very good chance that those people, maybe that team has one or even say 3 Smurfs. 'Cause a lot of times people will queue up together, right? What's more fun than queuing up with your buddies in low elo lobbies when you're a grandmaster player, going back to bronze and just stomping on noobs? I'm not saying this personally, but I'm saying that's what these other people, that's what a lot of people do. So you may not be actually crazy. The other team may actually be way better than you, and it's largely due to smurfing. Okay, smurfing might be fun, but it's not good for the quality of games in competitive. Okay. That being said, on the games, it can go both ways. You may have Smurfs on your team that you don't even realize are smurfing, making you win games very, very hard, which might make you think like, oh, it might give you a false sense of confidence, thinking that you are such a great player, when in fact you're getting carried by Smurfs and you don't even know it. You have to think about this too. I'm not saying it's happening to everybody, but it can happen. Like, you have to recognize that, okay?
The reason why I would think that's a thing is because these AI systems gather your data, and when you smurf, you're providing a bad set of data, which therefore kind of breaks the algorithm, okay? So that's not good. They don't want that. Matchmaking algorithms arranges queuing players into competitions to maximize the player's satisfaction. There's that maximizing your satisfaction again. Got to keep them happy. Got to keep them spending money. This is where it gets weird. Assign robots of suitable strength if needed. So adding AI to the game that you may or may not be able to detect of suitable strength if needed.
Okay, so this is talking about bot game, like AI matches. When you purposely queue up into AI matches, like against bots, that's what this is talking about. What this is talking about how the game works and makes matches in all circumstances, okay? It's not saying it assigns the robots in your competitive gold matches. That is not what this is saying. So don't for a second think that. That is just really stupid, you guys. Look at this chart. It talks about how this flows. So this is from down here, this is where it starts. Players like you and I are at the front end, okay? And they start the matchmaking requests, and the request goes to the matchmaking server. And these are all the things the server has to do when making matchmaking. This chart it's an example of how their system works and like how proficient it is, right? So this is just showing interested people how it all works, like behind the screen. In some of those games, it will be assigning it'll be assigning robots if it's needed, if people are queuing into AI matches, right?
Lastly, we're going to talk about integrative measure of competition quality. This evaluates player satisfaction and user engagement. There's that engagement word again, that little buzzword.
Okay, what is he talking about? That little buzzword, like what is he talking about? These are just words, okay, that pertain to the system. Engagement, user engagement isn't a bad thing. Like, what is he talking about? Right above it, it says integrative measure of competition quality. The game is measuring and predicting what it has to do, who it has to put on which team to get the best outcome, to get the best player satisfaction. It wants to make you happy, and it wants to have competitive quality as well, okay? Both of these things can be done at the same time. And if you read the article that he goes over in this video, if you actually read the article, it says this. It clearly states that that's what NetEase is trying to accomplish in their matchmaking system. It's trying to both take into consideration for player satisfaction and at the same time get good competitive nature and good competitive quality and fairness in games. All of these things can be done at the same time with this vast number of players, right? 20 million players. It can easily do this by selecting the right people.
Competition simulation and win prediction. Win prediction. Churn analysis.
Win prediction. The game predicts which team is going to win. Now, this is going to happen in all games. The computer is just constantly thinking, right? In some matches, you will be pitted against a team that is stronger on paper than your team, okay? This is the game's way of checking you to see if you are really where you belong. If you win that match, the game accounts for this and awards you with your hidden MMR and also your ranked competitive points accordingly. So if you win against a stronger team, you are going to get more points. You're going to rank up faster than if you were to win against a team that is weaker than you. It'll also match you against teams that are weaker than you. It'll do both. And it will also match you against teams of the same skill level. It's going to be doing all three and rotating through those. That's how the system makes sure that it's correct on things. You know, is this player really better than this player? Are these players really of equal strength? It's not like it's the equal outcome for all of these three situations. You get different points based on each of these circumstances. You'll notice every game after you win or lose a competitive game, you win or lose a certain amount of points that go to your rank and make you level up, you know, from silver to gold or from silver to bronze, right? Like, you know this, and people complain about it all the time, or they at least take note of it. Why am I only getting 19 points this win instead of another game? I'm getting 25 points. The reason for this is because depending on the match that you're in, depending on the team that you're against, you're going to get a different amount of points. If the team, let's say the team that you're fighting against is the system considers of equal skill, and you win that match, you're going to get an average amount of points. But if you win against a team that it thinks is a higher skill level than you, it's going to give you a bunch more points. And the same for if you're fighting a team that it considers to be a lower team than you, you'll get less points. The reason it does this is actually really good. It allows people to climb in ranks faster. So if it detects that somebody in bronze is smurfing, for example, or maybe they're just a really good player, okay? And they're winning a bunch of their games. If the system detects this, it will start to pit them in matches against teams that are stronger than them on paper. So they just started the game, but they're in bronze. But the AI, the matchmaking system, can tell, hey, they're winning a bunch of games. It doesn't seem like they belong in this elo. Let's check our thinking. Let's start putting them against like silver teams or people that are higher ranks. And then as they keep to win those games, the system says, oh, I was correct. Let's keep giving them more points to rank them up faster to their appropriate elo. This is for two reasons. Number one, because you don't want to have diamond players in bronze, right? You don't want to have smurfs just wrecking people in bronze. That's not good for player satisfaction. It's not good for the system. And number two, players generally want to rank up faster if their skill level is appropriate. So, hey, this player is performing very well. Let's give them more points and boost them up until they're at the appropriate elo where they belong, okay? This is not... He reads this off like it's some sort of bad thing, but this is actually all very healthy characteristics of a matchmaking system that you want. Just because he goes through these charts and diagrams and says it in a dark, monotone voice doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. That's just the way he's presenting it to you. Do not be fooled, okay?
Analysis and assigns selective teammates and adversaries for each player. So this one I'm going to say again. I'm going to repeat it, but I'm going to say it very slowly. Assign selective teammates and adversaries for each player.
Yes, it assigns selective teammates and adversaries for each player. That's what a matchmaking system does. That is literally the definition of a matchmaking system. Okay? There's no way for it to not select teammates and adversaries for each player. Do you understand that? That there's literally no way for it to not do that. I can't believe this. Okay, so real quick, let's let him talk about his match history and how he thinks that the system is rigged against him and that it's rewarding people who exit out of the game after losing a bunch of games, and it's going to grant them wins, right? He thinks that if you quit the game after losing a bunch of games, and then come back later, the system will award you basically with a free win and make the teams unbalanced. That way you're happy. Okay, so let's hear him say it.
Let's start here. This is my match history. Okay, this is competitive. Every single one of these games is competitive. I did not take a break in between these games, with the exception of me losing all these games and then me closing the game and taking a break. I don't know if it was for a couple hours. I don't know if I played the next day, next morning. I can't remember, but it was a pretty significant break. When I came back, I experienced this, which is all wins. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, that's just RNG. That's just coincidence.
No, here's what it is. And you know what? I just covered this topic with a actual legitimate top 500 coach from Overwatch. In one of my recent videos, you can see it. It's a big, long coaching session. But we actually talked about this topic just by chance. This isn't the matchmaking system being rigged against you. Okay, if you are playing for this many games in a row, just sitting in your chair, losing for 10 games straight, who knows how many games he's played before. Right. You're going to be wearing yourself down. You're going to have mental fatigue. You're going to be playing worse, especially if you're a player who's prone to getting emotionally upset over losses, right? Then it's going to be even like 10 times fold. It is highly recommended you take a break, because during this break, you're going to be resetting your mind. You're going to be going for a walk, hopefully something that's going to be helping your mental get more stable. And when you come back to the game, you're going to be playing more crisp, more sharper, and you are way more likely to win games. This is just a common, well-known thing. You need to not play for 6 hours straight at a time and expect to be playing at the top of your peak all the time, okay? So that's number one. And by the way, this doesn't prove anything. He's saying this proves things. This doesn't prove anything, okay? This proves nothing. This is just one anecdote, one person's match history. You're going to have all kinds of different match histories from all different players, okay? You just because something happened one time and you talk about it doesn't mean that it's factual, okay? It's not evidence. Okay, so he then goes to say that there's some crazy, malicious conspiracy where the system is trying to push you towards a 50% win rate, and this is a bad thing. So let's hear him say this here really quickly.
Is what's called a fixed coin flip. It is a forced 50% win, 50% loss. It will not always be 100% accurate. You will not always come out right to 50%, but the back end systems that are being used are trying to force you towards this, and I will explain why.
So in a sense, he's right. The system is funneling players towards around a 50% win rate, but it's not for a bad reason. And this is not an abnormal thing. You'll see this in League of Legends. You'll see this in name your other competitive game. And this is a very simple concept, okay? If you are first starting off the game and you are a diamond elo player, but you start off in bronze, right? You just made your account. Your win rate is going to be, say 70%. You can't always win games because about 20% of games are unwinnable just to teammates being bad, to teammates disconnecting, rage quitters, or maybe you just got outmatched. So let's say 30%, maybe even 40% of your games are unwinnable because it's a 6 versus 6, not a 1 versus 1, right? You can't control everything. So, but you're going to have, but you can get a really good win rate. Maybe you can carry your games and come out with like an 80% win rate, 70% win rate. But as you get out of bronze and then out of silver and then out of gold, then out of platinum, your win rate is going to slowly shrink from 70% slowly down to 50%, okay? Because what is 50%? That means you're winning half of your games. And when you're in your correct elo, when you're matched against people of equal skill, say you actually belong in diamond. Well, you're not better, you're not worse. And everyone there actually belongs in that elo. So it's a fairly matched game. That means mathematically speaking, you are supposed to win about half of those games, and that number is 50%, okay? It's not like that is the system working properly, and it is funneling people towards that win rate, but it's not, but that's the way it's supposed to be, okay? You're not supposed to have a 70% win rate in an ELO that you don't belong in, and an ELO that you don't have the skill to be in, okay? We cannot all be running around in Grandmaster ELO with 90% win rates. This is just a fantasy land, okay? And I hate to say it, but if you are the player who every game thinks that all of your teammates are bad and you are better, but you are just losing game after game after game after game, it is not your teammates' fault, okay? It's kind of like the saying goes, if someone's walking around and they think that everyone else in the world is an asshole, they are the asshole. They are in fact the asshole, okay? The same goes here. If someone is losing games constantly and they think that it is always their teammates' fault, of course sometimes it's going to be their teammates' fault, some percentage of games, but if they just always think it's their teammates' fault, they are the bad player. They just don't have the comprehension of the fact that they actually can be playing better. There are levels of knowledge to the game that they don't even know are there, okay? It's like one of those Venn diagrams. Like there's the information you know and the information you don't know. And then there's the information you don't even know that you don't know. That's what's going on with these players, okay? I mean, you don't want to be someone who's just coping and blaming everything on the system, blaming everybody else. It's a really bad look. Just fuel your love for the game. See that there are ways that you can get better. I mean, that's what I really personally love about competitive games, is that I am curious, how can I get better at this game? What haven't I learned yet? That's why I have many like coaching type style things on my channel where other people are coaching me, where higher level ELO players are coaching me, because I want to know what I can do to get better. You can't possibly think, if you're stuck in silver or whatever, even if you're grandmaster, there are things that you can learn. You can always get better, okay? So there's that explains his 50% funneled ELO thing. 50% win rate, by the way, is not like getting an F in high school. This is really important, okay? And it's a hard thing to grasp because, you know, I'm there too. I see the 50%, like say I have a 50% win rate, which I don't know what mine is right now. It could very well be 50%. I'm not quite sure. But you don't want to look at 50% as I am a complete loser, I'm doing bad, 50% is an F. No. It's very normal to have a 50% win rate in the game. Sure, you know, you could have a better win rate, and that you'll see that commonly, but that's typically when a player is climbing up in ELOs because they're still not to the ELO where they belong, right? If they are in the ELO where they belong, they would have somewhere around a 50% win rate. Unless they're getting carried by other people on their team they're queuing with. So this is actually a sign of the system working well. By the way, you can climb in rank with a 45% win rate, okay? You can climb in rank from silver to gold, from gold to platinum. You can climb in rank with a 45% win rate. The system allows this, okay? So that's just another thing that goes to show you that 50% win rate isn't like you're failing, okay? I'd say a 55% win rate is good. That is a good win rate. If you have 60 or above, that is amazing. That's actually a really good win rate, you guys. Having 60% win rate is really good. You need to understand this, okay? 50% win rate doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you're actually succeeding in a lot of ways. Okay, let's move on.
You have an individual hidden MMR, you have a hidden skill rating that you cannot see, no one can see, based on all the data these AI systems have collected about you. It can tell when you're frustrated, it can tell when you're going to quit, it can tell how aggressive, it can actually flag you as what's called an aggressive player.
Okay, so here he is talking about this paragraph. Again, he is literally reading something ass backwards, you guys. Yes, the system recognizes each player and their utility, as they're referring to it in this article, and how each player is different, because that's what it needs to know in order to make the most fair matches possible. It needs to know all the different intricacies to match people on a team and get them as fair as possible. And it needs to consider not just their rank, like just that would just be one data set, right? This player is gold. Let's match them all golds together. No, you can actually make it even more fair and have a better player experience and satisfaction if you take into account all these other factors that the system is doing, thankfully, is doing. Okay, so let's hear him say and make some just more crazy claims that are absolutely not happening, you guys, I promise you.
Bad information, but there are games that this system has actually increased and decreased hitboxes in real time in the game. So for any of you who have played a game in Marvels before where you absolutely destroy the enemy team on the first fight, and then you go to the next map and you have another fight, and then they're dumpstering you, I would not be surprised if that's an increase and a reduction in hitboxes and hit registry, or any kind of increased FPS or latency for the winning or losing team. That would not surprise me at this point, especially on console where aim assist is...
Okay, so I know that would not surprise him because he's willing to believe just about anything negative about this system at this point, guys. But I guarantee you the game is not lowering hitboxes to make it harder for you to hit and land your shots after winning the first map. It is not increasing your latency or raising your ping artificially to make you play worse after playing well in the map prior. This just simply is not happening. He's just saying these things, okay? And don't let this fear-mongering brainwash you. It's not good for the community. You know, we want to have a healthy community, and when you have people like this saying things like this, it's not good. So just know that. But the article actually talks about in depth the complications and all of the research that has gone behind them making a fair matchmaking system. It talks about how they are able to use both EOMM, which is engagement optimized matchmaking system, you know, and also a skill-based matchmaking system combined together to get faster queue times, to get higher player satisfaction, and to also have a good competitive nature in the game. All of these things can be done at the same time, okay? He tries to make it out to be like it's some kind of monster, that it's the reason that people are losing their games when they shouldn't be, when in fact it's just simply not. More often than not, the players are just bad and do not want to accept it, and I hate to say that, you know, but it is so true. Or other times maybe there are Smurfs in the lobby just messing it up. I mean, that's it, guys. That's the harsh reality, okay? So don't fall victim to these YouTubers and these people that are trying to espouse this information. It may sound good, it may make you feel better sometimes for losses and stuff like that, but what do you really want? Do you want to have the reality of the situation, or do you want to just believe lies so you can sleep a little bit better at night over losses in a video game? What I highly recommend you actually do is be curious about what can make you better at the game, learn how you can actually carry your games harder and climb in elos, so you actually earn higher ranks and you will feel good about that, okay? I'm not trying to brag here, but I just, hit Grandmaster, and it wasn't easy for me by any means. I spent a lot of time getting coaching done on myself from other players, or analyzing replays and looking at my mistakes. It was a lot of work, but I enjoyed that work, and I'm happy to say that I'm at the rank I deserve. And it's not because the matchmaking system is unfair. I had a lot of really tough games, but I really thoroughly enjoy this game. And, I'm going to end this video by saying that I want to thank my sponsor, NetEase, thank you NetEase for sponsoring this video. Shout out to NetEase. Thank you for all that money. I really appreciate it. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh, please stop by my channel. And if you actually do want to improve and you don't want to be like the creator of this video, check out my coaching videos. I have videos where top 500 players have coached me for like 2-hour sessions and really gone into the nitty gritty. I have other content, funny content, everything. Please, yeah, feel free to stop by, and I hope to see you in later videos. Godspeed, bless your heart, and get better at the game.